You know another team that's not been very good, by the way?
Tell me.
The Vancouver Canucks have not been good. They have just not been good. So obviously they got shelled by I think it was Colorado the other day, like absolutely shelled. It was hilarious to look at. And then last night they were up against Vegas, and Vegas stormed back. There was a bit of life in there. Ultimately, it just sort of falls apart, and it was said on headline or not headlines. 32 Thoughts last night. That Francesco Aquilini is on the trip, but apparently was scheduled. I still kind of worry though with his presence being there. For anyone who's wondering, they are second last in the Pacific Division, 3 points up on Vegas, but they are still at the current moment. If I can do math, give me a second. They are 6 points out of third in the division right now. Their total record is 5-8-2. And it's not like Pedersen hasn't looked good to start. It's Oliver Ekman-Larsson actually had a pretty good game, I thought. Demko's done all he could. Their first power play unit's also just kind of been like, what's going on here? Like, the talent there is just, it should be working. Is what's happening to Vancouver what we thought, that it just wouldn't quite be enough, and it's the opposite of, like, it was with Vancouver and Edmonton. It could have gone one of two ways. They were going to rocket out the gate, score all the goals, or flat on their face. And Vancouver has been the latter, and Edmonton have been the former.
Yeah, I think their special teams are much below league average. Their power play is 15%. The league average is 20%.
Oh, no.
PK, their penalty kill is 63%. League average is 79%. Like there's a discrepancy there. So I think that is an issue. I think depth is now kind of killing them. Like they just, the depth isn't what they expected, because the guy like JT Miller, 17 points, 15 games. Quinn Hughes, 13 points, 14 games. Garland, 12 points. Horvat, 10 points. Pedersen, 9 points. I would prefer to see a little more from Pedersen.
He only has three goals. That's not enough for Pedersen. Good. And yeah, Besser, yeah, he needs to, especially because it always feels like he's on the way of being traded.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that I think this is where they're, and I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched Demko play. His numbers don't look particularly fantastic, but then again, it's kind of a similar thing with John Gibson from last year, a couple of years ago. When your team in front of you is playing like crap, then your numbers aren't going to look fantastic.
I could have sworn he was at a 905 before yesterday, and now he's at an 898. So, and I'll tell you, like the last goal was a little messy because him and Myers had a bit of a miscommunication, but he has not been the problem there. Not at all. Hasn't been like lights out thingy, but like it feels like every other Vancouver game, we're seeing a big highlight of Demko just being absolutely like it's fantastic. Can't be him. But you mentioned sort of the depth, like so Pakol's in 3 goals, but he's a rookie. You don't want to rely on him. But actually, I think they kind of were. Chason, I forgot, was on this team, has a goal, so 2. OEL has 3 points. You kind of need more from him. Dowling has 2 goals. Highmore, none. Shen, none. Dickinson has 1. Pullman doesn't have a goal. Neither does Hunt. Lamico, Bailey, none. Rathbone, none. You're getting really bit right now. And it's Edmonton could get away with it because they have 2 nuclear-powered engines.
Right. 2
Mercedes engines. Whoa, you know what I mean? But it is not working out. It is not working out.
Do you think so? You brought up the goaltending not being an issue, and I don't want to push Demko down, but my thought was one of the main reasons that Vancouver looked so good 2 years ago when they made the bubble playoffs, right, was that, or even during the regular season, Vancouver got really good when their goaltending got really good. When Markstrom was a Vezina candidate, when we said Markstrom, he should be in the top 3 for voting. That's when Vancouver looked like their best. And I don't think they're getting that at the moment. And then when you're not getting that, it exposes everything else. And I think that to me is what's happening here, is that their lack of depth is very much being exposed.
Yeah, because when you mentioned that bottom six, like who is really kind of leading that?
I'm disappointed with Dickinson. I know he's not an offensive juggernaut, and also, again, sorry to say his name like a fourth time, Pedersen. Because with Dickinson, I know he's a defensive guy, but they were relying on him, I think, to get a few more. I know he had a fight last night to try and get the boys going. Didn't really amount to much, unfortunately. But like that's a guy. Beside the rest of them, I mean, like, do you really look at Chason and expect him to be a contributor? Like, remember when he got that one massive heater for Edmonton? He like finished with 20 goals and only had like scored in like 2 months, and then they gave him an extension. Like it's an OEL is another disappointing one. Like he needs to put up more numbers, and again maybe that's going back to the power play not clicking, but you know, like they have to win this. Like they have to win this year. You know what I mean? They have to.
They have to show something that I guess more of what we saw 2 years ago, not what they saw last year. But again, like for all the guys they've lost, I just don't think that they haven't really replaced anything. It's just what you said too, where they remind me of the Russian Olympic team. They just pushed everything upwards.